Hey seniors, today we're going to talk about the idea of perfect cubes. So I want you to go ahead on your notes page, draw your line on the left hand side, and go ahead and write perfect cubes in the top left hand corner. Earlier this week we talked about the idea of perfect squares. So if I was given the square root of 25, I think to myself, what number multiplied by itself will give me 25? And of course I know that 5 times 5 is 25, so the square root of 25 is 5, or 5 squared will give me 25. Today we're going to expand on that idea and talk about cubes. So what is a cube? A cube is a three-dimensional object where all sides are equal. I want you to write down this bullet point in your notes page. Pause the video if you need to. So I look at this object, which is a cube, and I see that all my sides are equal. And so if I were to multiply all those sides, this would be a 3 times 3 times 3 cubed, or 3 cubed. So I want to move on and start talking about the idea of a cube root. And a cube root is essentially a number multiplied by itself 3 times. And this is the cube root symbol. I'll write it a little bit bigger for you guys. So if I was given the cube root of 27, I'm thinking to myself, what number multiplied by itself 3 times will give me 27? So if I break that down, I know that 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. Let's do another one. If I was given the cube root of 8, again, I'm thinking to myself, this is the same process I did when I was thinking about perfect squares. What number multiplied by itself 3 times will give me 8? And I know that 2 times 2 times 2 gives me 8, or this is the same as 2 cubed. So the cube root of 8 is 2. Let's move on. So there are some perfect cubes that you need to memorize, just like your perfect squares. So I want you to take a moment and write down all of these examples, because these are all perfect cubes that you need to know. Pause the video if you need to. So the cube root of 1 is 1 because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. The cube root of 8 is 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 gives me 8. The cube root of 27 is 3 because 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. My pen is your pen. Make sure you have this down. The cube root of 64 is 4 because 4 times 4 times 4 gives me 64. Now, there are going to be instances just with perfect cubes, or with cube roots in general, that are not perfect cubes. So sometimes you're going to be given a number that isn't a perfect cube. But you won't have to deal with those this year, so we're not going to waste time talking about it. Let's just move on. All right, I want you to go ahead and write volume on your notes page and get this first bullet point written down. Cubes are used to represent volume. And volume is the space inside something. So volume is all the space inside this object. So if I wanted to find volume, I would just multiply length times width times height, which is the same in this object as 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 cubed, which will give me 8. So the volume of this cube is 8. Let's change the dimensions and show it again. All right, if I were to change these dimensions to 3, same process. If I wanted to find the volume, length times width times height. My pen is your pen. Make sure you have this down. So my length is 3 times 3 times 3, which of course will give me 27. So the volume is 27. So again, when I'm thinking about cube roots or volume, I'm thinking about something multiplied by itself 3 different times. All right, that's it for me talking. It's time for you guys to practice.